Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to spend some time with you exploring the AI opportunity with Microsoft Copilot. Today, we'll start by discussing how Copilot is creating real business value. From there, we'll briefly cover the Microsoft pricing changes coming July 1st. Next, we'll walk through the security and governance considerations to ensure Copilot is implemented safely and responsibly in your environment. Then we'll look at the return on investment organizations are seeing with Copilot. We'll close by sharing the adoption strategies we've successfully used with our clients to drive meaningful results. That's a lot to cover in the next 30 minutes, so let's get going. Hi, I'm Jeff McCulloch, President of Yeo Yeo Technology. I'm happy to have Julie Hodges, our Microsoft Copilot Specialist, with us today. Okay, Julie, before I hand this off to you, a couple of housekeeping items. First, we have turned off the chat function and would like all questions to be posted in the Q&A. If we run over on time answering these questions and you have to drop, no worries. We will send out to everyone attending the recording tomorrow. All right, Julie, let's start out with how Copilot can wow us, and then you can show us the impact Microsoft is seeing in their business after adopting Copilot.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you all for being here. I'm very excited to share with you a lot of information about Copilot today. So just want to say, like, where Copilot wow. So I'm not sure where you all are in your AI journey, what tools you're using, but I'm here to talk about Microsoft Copilot that is built for work. And you can look around here, and I personally have used nearly all of these things to helping me be more productive at work. I mean, honestly, prepare for customer meetings, never take meeting notes again. I mean, I would pay for Copilot myself if it wasn't already provided by my company. So it is basically your AI assistant that is never tired, never busy, always ready to help at any time. And the early impact at Microsoft. So it's a Microsoft product. Microsoft was asking everyone had to use Copilot in their environment. So a couple of examples here. Just want to show you that basically Copilot can work in every department. There's going to be areas where there can be improvements, either with productivity or business processes. And the one I like to highlight the most, which should be an eye-opener to everybody, is in HR, a 42% greater accuracy in answering questions through employee self-service. So just think about the ramifications of that. People asking HR about questions, probably very important or life-changing, and to think that the accuracy improved utilizing Copilot. So what was happening before then? So I feel like everyone's got an HR department could also benefit from using Copilot. And then this is just an example of the top 10 things first to try when you have Copilot. And again, I'm going to harp on this and you'll hear about it later. Recap in a meeting. Exactly like this. Like if you want to take notes, if prior to Copilot you were taking notes on this and you were scribbling notes down, you no longer have to do that. You know, summarize, draft an email, summarize a document. All of this is at your fingertips. You can ask Copilot to do any of these things, and it's a good way to look in the different applications where Copilot works to get an idea of what it can do for you. Now, we can't talk Copilot without talking security. So this is a key aspect of the talk today, is that there are security and governance concerns when you are talking AI. And really, it's any AI, not specifically Copilot, but just when you're dealing with AI, there are things you need to get set up prior to deploying it and things that your IT staff are going to be worrying about. And the first one is data oversharing and data leaks. Like, this is just a level set with Copilot, because it's a Microsoft product and built for Microsoft work. It has access to all of the things that Microsoft applications touch. So just think of it, they call it the graph or the work IQ, but Copilot will have access to SharePoint, OneDrive, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, and you need to make sure there's the proper permissions on any of those files. And then the second one there, identify risky AI use. I personally think of this one as if you're using any other tool besides Copilot, you are at risk because those other tools do not have the enterprise data security that Copilot has, meaning that anything you put into Copilot is not going outside of your organization. You are not training the model. No one else will have access to that. So if you trust that Microsoft has the ability to protect your data when you're doing Outlook, when you're doing presentations, Excel spreadsheets, if you're trusting that it's safe in SharePoint, you need to trust that Copilot is the same. It runs by those same rules. So true as ever, Microsoft likes to add new features to products as they're going along, which is always a benefit for everyone who's using them. But now they're deciding that they're going to be having some price changes to pay for those new features. And that is coming at the beginning of their fiscal year, which is July 1st. So for now, even though they've announced these changes, your pricing isn't going to be changing. If you are currently on a subscription of, one of these products, and this is a grouping of the most common products, your pricing remains the same until it's time for renewal. If you renew after July 1st, you are subject to the current pricing that is available. And what I'd like to point out on the screen, because I know it's a lot of letters and numbers, is that Business Premium is not changing. Microsoft is really pushing, if you are able to purchase Business Premium over the enterprise products, to go with Business Premium. And the main rule on that is that if your organization is under 300 users. So if you're under 300 users, depending on what your needs are, Business Premium will likely be the best option for you, and that is not changing. And just a snippet here of, as I mentioned, there's new capabilities that are going to be built into what Microsoft calls the SMB business SKUs. And again, on the highlight on the Business Premium, most people go with the Enterprise Office 365 E3 strictly because of the email storage, which is currently set at 100 gigs. Business Premium has been at 50 gigs, although there's some unlimited archiving, but rolling out in June, they will be adding an additional 50 gigs of storage. So if that's a reason why you're on E3, you no longer need to do that. You can, at renewal, move to Business Premium. And again, that price is not changing. And it also sets you up to be able to get a better version of Copilot. So there are a couple different versions of Copilot that I alluded to. You may have heard of Copilot. It was launched a couple years ago, and it was Copilot for M365. There was just one version of it, and everyone had to buy that. Microsoft recently launched Copilot for Business, which is meant for what they consider SMB end users, again, under 300 subscriptions in the tenant. So whether you're on Business Standard or Business Premium, then you are eligible for Copilot for Business, which is at a lower cost. And additionally, there's some bundles that are available, which Jeff's team can tell you about, where you can combine the Business Premium plus Copilot and even get a better deal. And then one of the most exciting changes is that it had been an annual commitment SKU this whole entire time. We just announced that for the Copilot for Business, it will be allowed in the true month-to-month SKU. So no longer an annual commitment. However, it will be at a premium. So the pricing for the month-to-month, although we don't have it just yet, it is effective. It's starting March 1st. You will have the ability to go true month-to-month, but it will be at a higher cost. So our suggestion is if you're going to do that, to do a scope of work, a pilot program, just to make sure that you're getting the ROI, the rollout, start with month-to-month, move to the annual commitment so you get our price, so you don't have to be subject to the monthly premium pricing. So security concerns with AI readiness, which I already mentioned, the data oversharing, using other tools. So this slide is very important. Talks about the security, privacy, compliance, all of that. Data is encrypted at rest and in transit. And then the last item here is the boundary enforcement, which is what I alluded to earlier. Copilot has enterprise data security built in, whether it's the free Copilot chat that you already see in some of your applications. If you don't already have Copilot, or the paid version of Copilot, it is the only AI LLM tool that has that enterprise data security where you are not training the model. Your information is not going anywhere else. And again, on this, just the Microsoft's promise on data protection and governance. As I said, if you're already using Microsoft, you know that your data is safe where it is. No one's getting in. It's not going anywhere. It's not training the model. It is the same with Copilot. It is the same rules and policies with Copilot. They are not using it to train the model. And you can be certain that you don't have to worry about confidential data leaving your organization. Now, the first big blocker, again, is the security, and your data. Just know that Microsoft is built on trust. As I've said, your data is your data, and it is not used to train the model. There is a product called Microsoft Purview, which there is some included in the business premium. It's also as an add-on that will basically help you automatically get ready for Copilot, that helps assign permissions and classifications in your data, because the last thing you want is for someone to prompt in, what does my boss make? And then that information is going to come back. If everything is properly classified, that is not something that you are going to need to worry about. All right, so I'd like to show you like an ROI in a couple different scenarios. So the first one is sales. Creating a pitch when you're in sales. And I've been in sales, I'm going to say it for a gazillion years. And I know before I put a pitch together and before I talk to a prospective client or even a current client, I have to do a lot of research on the back end before I make that call. I don't want to go in cold and not understanding that business. So there's a lot of prep work that is involved, going into different databases, searching online, getting all that data together. It is very tiresome. Well, guess what? Copilot can take that off your hands. It can do a lot of that. It can even look through your emails to see, have you communicated with this prospect before? Go online, get their business information. It can help create agendas for meeting. You can do your meeting, and it'll do the recap, schedule follow-up calls. I mean, there's so many things that Copilot can do, and I'll just raise my hand and say, like, I'm not great at sending the teams, recap, like prior to having Copilot, and making sure we're following up on everything that gets spoken in a meeting. It's like you have such high hopes, you talk about all this synergy, and then it's only going to be good if you can follow up on everything that you discussed. Well, Copilot's going to help you get there. And I would say it cuts down the time to getting to that pitch and getting to those prospects and those customers, but also improves employee satisfaction. I mean, I find it frustrating. I have to go to a lot of different places to get all that information, and it is a total waste of my time when I really just need to be calling and talking to our partners. So I have more satisfaction in my role when I'm able to utilize Copilot to take away all that time of the prep time. And then same thing, here's an example in marketing for content creation. I mean, I'm not going to bring the slide, but you can see it. There's so many places that you can utilize Copilot, whether you're creating a presentation, you're looking to post online, have a really effective title. If you're going to be posting anything on LinkedIn or social media, utilizing Copilot to be able to get the information you need, the top 10 attention grabbers, the best language to use, where to post it, when to post it, helping create documents. All of these things our Copilot is able to help you with. And again, it's your AI assistant. It is not busy. It is not tired. It's not overwhelmed. It's here for you. You just prompt it, get this information, and go on with your day to be more successful. And then the last one here is that, let's say if you're in finance, current challenges is there could be data discrepancies. It could delay, you could have a delayed month-end close if you're trying to get data from a lot of different areas and you're not even sure if it's the right data. It's a very manual process. So when you're utilizing Copilot, it can automatically pull that data from different databases, ensure that it's clean data, and it can also find the cause of root sources or issues. If there's any issues with your data, let's say you're doing this finance and you're saying, hey, like, it looks like we have an outlier here, one product isn't selling, this area isn't doing well, you can ask Copilot to analyze that and find the information that might be showing that this is why this piece of your business is not being successful. I mean, I know it doesn't sound true, but Copilot can analyze that data, look into all your databases and give you information on why that number is low. And I'm going to hand it back to Jeff to go over some ROI.
Thanks, Julie. Let's look at some ways to bring a return to your manufacturing business from an investment in Copilot. A production manager, they're always looking for ways to cut down on scrap. And they're always telling us by the time they're done reviewing data, it's already outdated. What Copilot can do is automate that process of obtaining the data so that you're looking at real-time data, making business decisions on facts and not outdated data. As you can see, looking at just 4 hours a week in time savings, it can have a huge impact, not only on your bottom line, but your productivity. Now let's look at a financial services business. Putting together reports for clients is a tedious task and presents many issues. How good are your customer reports when the data is old or inaccurate? Use Copilot to get that data quickly and to eliminate those mistakes. You save just 2 hours a week, which is a low estimate. You can have a sizable impact on retaining your clients. For a project manager at a construction company, you can save up to 4 hours by using Copilot to summarize change orders to your budget. No one wants to have a dispute with a customer when the data is missing or a change order or a punch list is inaccurate. Another way Copilot can be used to bring real ROI to your business. For these examples, the calculations are just based on average salaries of these roles in Michigan and the time savings specified. Now, I would like Julie to give some real-world experiences on how Copilot is making her life easier with her job. Julie.
All right, thank you. And this is the part I love about doing these webinars and sharing my experiences out with people who may or may not be familiar with Copilot. So I've mentioned this one a few times. In fact, this is technically like a Teams meeting. I know it's a webinar, but I would pay for Copilot myself if my company didn't already pay for it, just for this one feature, just a single feature, which I mentioned, the Teams meeting. So there's an agent called Facilitator, which basically goes beyond, I mean, not only does it record your meetings, and it has the transcription. It also points out where your name was mentioned. If you're not even in the meeting, you can go back and say, hey, did someone talk about me in this meeting when you get the recap? So it gives you the transcription. It helps you set the agenda first for your meeting. Then once you start your meeting, it also keeps you on track. It'll give the presenter a note and say, hey, you've only gone over 2 out of the 5 things that are on your agenda, to keep you moving in a positive direction. So it also does the recap. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't know how many times I would be sitting here scribbling notes, trying to pay attention, trying to remember. I might overpromise and underdeliver. I'm like, yes, I'll connect you with this person. I'm going to send you that link. I'll give you this number. And then I go right into another meeting, and then maybe to another meeting. And then by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh, did I follow up with everything that I promised today? I'm going to say, like, prior to Facilitator, I'm going to just raise my hand and say, maybe I haven't, and maybe you guys might feel like you've done the same thing. So another great feature is also, speaking of back-to-back meetings, if you are late to a meeting, like, has anyone ever been late to a meeting? I'm going to say I definitely have. And when you come in to a meeting, if you don't have all this going on, if you don't have the facilitator, are you sitting there and then maybe you interrupt the meeting and say, hey, have we already gone over, the pipeline or the Q4 projections? And then you basically derail the meeting because maybe they've already gone over it. I mean, then you're announcing that you're late and then you're derailing this meeting. And with Copilot, you come in late, you can say, hey, what did I miss? You can read the transcripts or say, what have I missed? And it will literally tell you. So you don't have to interrupt the meetings. You don't have to do that. And like I said, it creates this team meeting recap, which anyone who is invited to the meeting, whether they attended or not, you can automatically send it out to. It'll include all of the action items, any opportunities that you discussed, all of that information. And oh, by the way, there's an agent called Agent for Sales. So if you have a CRM tool, you can import any of those opportunities into CRM without having to manually do it yourself. And if there's new people from your prospects, they're in that meeting and they're not in your CRM, it'll create that new contact for you. You don't have to go in and do it, which again, like, saves me like a good jillion hours of time. So I will also share that I use Outlook. I use Copilot in Outlook every day. So I set it up to prioritize my inbox. So people in my organization that are very important and I need to get to their emails first, like, let's say, my manager or my director, I put them as a priority. I also get a lot of emails. In fact, I just got one this morning. It was like 10 emails long and said, hey, Julie, like, please see below and respond. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to read this whole entire thing. It's going to take me 30 minutes just to sort through it all. With Copilot, you just hit summarize and it summarizes it for you. And then if there's anything super important, it gives you the link. You just click on it and it takes you to the email that gives you the information that they found was important. There's a lot of really great tools. I mean, obviously drafting, creating presentations like the one we've created today, all of that amounts to many, many hours saved a week, which translates then to the month. And then to think of all of that extra productivity you have, or could be $1 a day. Like, would you pay $1 a day to have all of these features? I mean, for me, the answer was a resounding yes. So big question here is adoption strategy, because I will share with you, not everyone has done it the right way. I know you're all interested in AI and Copilot and you want these licenses so you can get started, which is amazing. But you do have to do it thoughtfully. Obviously, first is you got to take care of the security. But second, you really need to think of who is going to be getting these licenses and how are we going to start? Because you can't just say, here's your license, good luck, have at it, go pilot your life away. You really need to know how to prompt, what sort of outcomes that you're looking for, so you can have some quick wins. So whether you choose people from different departments and have them work together, share their experiences, share their successes, or you choose a single department where, like in sales, like I said, maybe start with them, or like a customer service role where there's going to be some super easy wins utilizing Copilot. Basically all of the roles in all of your departments. You can see areas where you can have improvements in all of them. And then just know that the transformation using Copilot looks different for every company. So there's Copilot Chat, which is the free Copilot if you have an Office 365 subscription. And that, think of it as like a Copilot Lite. You enter in information, it can go out and get it. Or if you upload a file, ask it to summarize it or create it, it'll do that and bring it back. But it doesn't have the reasoning and can go into the work IQ or the graph to get all the data on its own. So some people in your organization may be fine with chat. Most people are going to want to move to the paid, which I think is great. And again, I would pay for it myself if I had to. There's also agents, which is like, think of it as chat as like walk, run, and fly. Agents, we would say every person should have a paid Copilot on their desktop. Every business process in your organization should have a Copilot agent. So that is automating processes, taking out some of the manual things that, all of your departments are doing. A Copilot agent can help solve that. Then I'm going to pass it back to Jeff.
Thank you, Julie. Let's now discuss some adoption strategies. How can your Copilot journey be a success? Well, that's easy. Assess and prepare. Phase 1, we look at your security and compliance, workflow and use cases, and review your team's readiness. From that, we can determine what licensing will be needed. In phase 2, we prepare your environment for hardening your network and your Microsoft tenant. Then we get your staff ready for a pilot run by making sure to communicate the expectations of Copilot to those involved. Then comes the best phase, phase 3, proving the return on the investment. We work with your team on specifics, how-tos, work with them on the metrics of what you should see in savings, and then validate those against projections. Our last phase, phase 4, we will show you how to take the best practices from what you have learned and roll that out to other departments. Make each prompt work for the next department that will be brought online. Then review the successes each quarter and make changes as needed. What's next? We can start with our Copilot readiness consultation. Pull out your phone, click that QR code. It's really that easy. Okay, let's turn our attention over to some questions that may have come in during the presentation. And let's see what we have.
Well, Jeff, I'll take the question that came in is, if a company has limited licenses to start, how would you recommend prioritizing roles or departments to build momentum without creating friction? So that is a great question, because how many to get to start and who's going to get it? I did just touch on that a little bit. Like, I would say most people will start with C-level and IT and maybe a few other people. That is one way to go. I think you can definitely include them, but I firmly believe I've seen the success with other partners and customers is choosing a specific department to get it, identifying areas where Copilot can be of value, and then measure that success, have that team share their successes amongst each other. You can even share your effective prompts with the team. So that way everyone on that team can use it. And then once they have those successes and you've seen the ROI, then you can expand it out to other departments.
Thanks, Julie. So we got some others here. What about providing thoughts, examples on R&D tech departments? You have not mentioned this area department. Yeah, in 30 minutes, it's tough to go over every single area that you can say. If you think about it, there is a way to make Copilot save you time. Definitely something we could work with you with, or excuse me, on. And if you fill out that readiness consultation, we can definitely get with you and review those things. Another question, what are the most common security or governance gaps you see derail Copilot deployments, and what should be addressed before licenses are assigned? I'll take that one, Julie. Yeah, the biggest thing we see with that is just comes down to the existing permissions that you have in your tenant today, and that just sprawls across to nobody really knowing what is assigned by a user, and you really start by cleaning up SharePoint, OneDrive, the permissions there. Putting in peer review policies allows you to ensure the data is classified properly and protected, and then making sure you have strong identity controls like MFA in place. When you start putting those things in, those fundamentals in place, Copilot will actually become becomes safer than those unmanaged tools like Julie talked about. Copilot stays within inside of your security and compliance boundary where the other tools are not. Would you guys do a group training to show us how to use Copilot? Absolutely. We've done many of those for customers right now. So yes, we would. Next question. With the paid version assessing all of my files data, do only I have access to that data? How do we control what is shared with coworkers so that the data that is confidential is not shared? So the way that works today is if you have rights to it, then you're able to get to it. But if I'm a separate user on your network and I do not have rights today to those files, to those emails, to those things in, say, a OneDrive or SharePoint, I still would not have access to that with Copilot. It's only what I have access to, but we feel that during that onboarding process and going through and looking to see where you're at, that's where we really determine where you could potentially have issues. I've got a couple more popping in here. Would this be comparable to ChatGPT? What are your thoughts on using that versus Copilot? Obviously, very similar. I think the difference for us as a business, rather than trying to support every different version of AI that's out there, we made the business decision to stick with Copilot, as well as the fact that it had a lot of built-in security features already there, and it made it a lot easier for us to implement that with customers. So that's why we chose that.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, I'll just jump in there and I can send to Jeff a document I have on specifically Copilot versus ChatGPT. But what I was trying to stress is, Copilot is built for work. It has access to your teams. It has access to Outlook, to SharePoint, to OneDrive. It's built for that. Whereas ChatGPT is really built for like commercial use. So we know a lot of people use ChatGPT in their personal life. A lot of them tend to bring it into their work life. And that's where you get into the issue of it doesn't have the enterprise data security, and it isn't built by Microsoft to have access to all of the Microsoft applications. So I would say I know there's a ChatGPT like enterprise version. It's also still not enough. And also, just so you know, like Copilot does have different LLM models you can use, but the main one that it runs on is GPT 5.2, which is the same model that ChatGPT uses. So there really shouldn't be a question of whether or not I'm going to use one or the other, because the tool that it's using is literally the same, except for that Copilot is built for work and has the data security built in.
Great. Thanks, Julie. Another question. Can the designated super users actually access new users' prompts in Copilot usage to critique and build on their work, or in a physical conversation needed between parties to learn how the usage for new users is going? Justin, a very good question. I don't want to be wrong on that. I would check with my team on that, and I will get back to you on that question.
I mean, I'm just not sure, like, if I'm not sure what you mean by super users, like if that's maybe someone in IT who can maybe see what's going on. But like if I have Copilot and my coworker has Copilot, they can't see how I'm using it or how I'm prompting it unless I share it with them. Now there is a dashboard where you can see the like IT, like I think it's the 365 dashboard, where you can those people can see who's using Copilot, what applications they're using it in, like how often they're prompting, and all of that, all of those details, so you can see that you're getting the ROI that you're expecting. But maybe they might be able to get the granular data of who's using it and who's not, because that has happened before. Someone got a Copilot license in my organization, they never used it, and guess what? They lost it and it went to somebody else. But in order to like build on the work or different conversations, I'm not really sure on that, but IT can see who's using it, who's not. But I recommend that people who have Copilot actually create like in Teams, like create a Teams channel for Copilot users where you meet and you decide how often you want them to meet, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, and they get together and say, hey, I've been using Copilot and this has been my success. I've used it in Excel, but maybe I ran into this issue. And then someone else can be like, oh, I know what you're saying. And if you just change your prompt to this, then you'll get what you want. And then, like I said, you can share out prompts to people because it is all about how you write it to make sure you get the right information back. So I do recommend that in terms of adoption and who's using it. But in terms of if you're using it, can other people, see how you're doing it? Again, that's really going to be like the IT that's looking at that dashboard.
Okay. Next question. If someone uses Gemini or Grok in a browser, does that put file security at risk in any way? My gut reaction to that would be no. I do not believe that would.
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen to the file. That's not like the security that we're worried about. Like if you upload a file to another LLM and say, please summarize, create this, or analyze this document, it's not gonna corrupt your file per se, but then that information is out there to train the model. And if someone else in the world puts in a prompt that's saying like, provide me an example of a manufacturing company that has a report or whatever, like your report might show up. So that's what we're saying in terms of the security. When you're using Copilot and asking it to analyze the files, that will never happen. Like hopefully that answers that question.
Yep. Good point, Julie. Okay, I think we've made it through all the questions. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. We truly appreciate you taking the time to be part of our conversation. And special thanks to Julie Hodges for helping us demonstrate how Copilot isn't just a productivity tool, but a real profit center for your business. Thank you.